Discrimination against people with darker skin, especially within the same ethnic group, is called colorism. There's a lot of discussion about it within the black community.
Why is it that the lighter you are, the easier it is for you to get a job?
The lighter you are, the more beautiful you are. This is a narrative.
Lighter-skinned people are put higher than darker-skinned people, period.
Babe, can you feed the dog before you go, please? Andre and I had only been going out for a couple of months when some offensive tweets he'd written years before we met were picked up by the press. He wrote them 8 years ago, and I know now that those tweets were a blatant example of colorism.
I will never know what it feels like to be a dark-skinned woman, but seeing those tweets really made me feel a bit sick. And I was really upset because I was just like, who is this person? Like, this is horrible. Because that wasn't the person that I knew. When they surfaced, my heart sank. So I was just like, that is not the person that I met. It sounds like a child, like a silly child, like.
This is what happens when you're kids and that. You do become a product of your environment. So whatever you are around every day and you're not educated on it or exposed to why it's wrong or whatever, then it kind of sticks.
But still, though, to have those views at that time...
There's no excuse at all. When it all came out and stuff, like, so obviously I was embarrassed, ashamed, disappointed. Same time, I had to be a man about it. I've made that mistake and I've learnt and I've educated myself and grew up to understand how offensive and how wrong it was, what I did. I didn't even understand racism really when I was young. We all used to diss each other and whatever. There was never obviously any malice in it, but again, it's not obviously an excuse in it. And being from a Jamaican heritage, it's a tough one. I think it's maybe a bit of self-hate, whatever.
Well, at the time, for yourself?
Nah, I think it was a black thing. I think it happens now, still in Jamaica. People don't want to be dark-skinned in Jamaica a lot of the time. There's a lot of bleaching and whatever going on, and it's not cool to be. It's cool to be lighter. You pick up on these things as well. You know what I mean? Maybe it was easy for a light-skinned person like myself to joke about it.
Because it's like, how would you feel if someone said that about, I don't know, like your cousin, your auntie, or like, I don't know, we could have a child and it come out darker than us. Like, you just don't know, do you? Like, that sort of view on dark-skinned women especially, there is a lot of anger and there is a lot of, a bit like, I'd say trauma. Because those views that you might have had back then, like, adds to the way that dark-skinned women are viewed. This whole thing about light-skinned girls being prettier or whatever. It's almost like people probably are being conditioned to think that, because you're seeing it everywhere. You're hearing it in music. You're seeing it in magazines. Don't you feel there's something in that? The more you see something, the more you hear something, that's just what you know and what you think. And dark-skinned people are just not represented enough. I feel like at every point, I'm just noticing so much more now. The other week when I went in for work, 2 days in a row, I was doing shoots and I walked in and there wasn't one person of colour working on the team. And I'm just like, I would never have noticed that before, but it baffled me. Because it's not right. It shouldn't be predominantly white when the music industry is fueled by hip-hop and R&B. I'm not where I am today to do nothing about this.
Well, we're joined now by Little Mix's Leigh-Anne Pinnock.
This is the first time in my life that the whole world is speaking about racism. We need to talk about it, and there needs to be a change because we can't go on like this anymore.
Treat this as a conversation. Say that back in the day.
You cannot say that now.
what makes a black person?
Exactly.
Like, how do you act black?
Hi, Leigh-Anne. Thanks for taking the time. I know it's late over in the UK, so...
Oh, that's all right. The industry needs to be more diverse because I don't see enough people that look like me.
Since I've started speaking out, my fans have been amazing. But not everyone has been quite so supportive.
What about Little Mix? All jumping on your little virtue signalling bandwagon. Bullshit!
Especially since news of the documentary hit the press.
Just wanting to show yourself with a little BLM sign.
Social media is so toxic. Like, it does my head in. There's already 2 types of criticism. I see that this woman who has made millions from dancing in her pants wants to jump on the victim bandwagon. This is obviously going to be some people's reaction because they do not want to understand racism. They don't care about racism. They never have and they never will. And that is one type of person. I'm not doing it for people like that because I'm never going to change them. I'm not going to change her mindset. She's made up already. But then there's also a lot of criticism about me being light-skinned from the black community, and that hurts more. Why not a full black person confused? Maybe should have used someone who isn't partly idolised because she's light-skinned. I don't know, just a thought. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to read. Wanting to do something good and then seeing or like hearing that there's been a massive uproar because I'm not actually fully black, and it's like you start thinking, like, am I the right person for this? Like, are my experiences just not valid? Like, just because I'm a bit lighter? It's just fucking heavy, man.
I've not dealt with these kind of comments before. They're much more personal than I'm used to. And it's really knocked me. Now I'm questioning, am I the right person to make this film? However, what I've experienced is nothing compared to what some black people in the public eye have to deal with. Like MP Dawn Butler.
Will the minister inform the House whether her government is institutionally racist or just doesn't care?
She suffered horrendous abuse as a result of standing up for non-white people in the UK. She's got in touch and I'm meeting her in a local cafe in her Brent constituency.
Cup of tea?
Cute. Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
One, actually. We going to your offices at all today?
No, this is actually where I'm probably going to have some surgeries because I've had to close my office because of the racism.
Really? Wow.
So, I know. I was getting calls at 3 o'clock in the morning, abusive answer phone messages. I was attacked on the train. That was horrific. And one day I turned up and my staff had bought themselves a stab vest.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's so mad. Like, obviously being in the pop industry and like opening myself up to scrutiny, like social media trolls, whatever, the level that you face is like, how do you deal with that?
I know. So first of all, I'm going to say well done. Like, well done for actually speaking out and deciding that you're not going to keep quiet. You know, you've used your platform and your privilege to do that. Yeah. Some people take their privilege and run away with it and never look back. But how do you cope? It depends on the day, right? Like, some days you just want to cuss really hard. And then some days you think, right, okay, I'm going to educate you in terms of what you're doing. People are just blatant racist. If they had something to offer, they wouldn't want to try and take you down.
Yeah.
Or try and criticise you.
I just feel like I've kind of, like my heart is on the line now and there's no going back, and it's like, I'm almost scared.
Don't get me wrong, it is scary. But you just got to remember all the lives that you're changing. You've got to remember all the young women that are looking up to you thinking, oh my God, she's spoken out. So everyone needs to sort of ask themselves, when the history book's written, what's going to be said beside your name?
Yeah.
Divine intervention. Jehovah walked on water, grandma raised us up a pension.
I can't believe what Dawn's been through. She's reminded me how serious things can get for people in the spotlight, but totally inspired me to carry on. No matter what happens, I'm going to keep speaking out.
So I'm on my way to go and meet the lovely ladies that I met at the march.
So why are you girls here today?
They were so interesting, we had such a good conversation. And little did I know they actually have their own podcast called The Trilly Trio.
Today, the girls have invited me to be a guest on their podcast.
A little bit lightheaded. Don't know why.
They talked about how important it is for me to educate myself. I just hope what I've learnt so far will show them I'm really serious about inspiring change.
So to touch on quite a sensitive topic as well, is like colorism. Black women, dark-skinned women, if I'm being brutally honest, are not seen as physically attractive.
You're pretty for a black girl.
Yeah.
Like, or you're not as loud.
Supposed to mean?
There's so much pressure, and I feel it as a lighter-skinned woman, so I can't even imagine how it feels for you girls. Like,
to be honest, the only person of my tone that I've seen on screen in the UK is Alexander Burke. And that's pretty much it. If I'm being honest.
It's true. I couldn't name you one dark-skinned, really successful artist in the UK. A female artist in the UK right now. There isn't.
What do you feel like you can do to encourage girls like me to keep trying to get our way in the industry?
I would say just don't let your colour hold you back. Like, you might not see many girls look like you right now, but whatever you do, like, you can't. You have to just keep going. You have to believe, and you have to just go for it.
I don't know. These conversations are so hard to have because it's like a back and forth and a back and forth. We're moving forward, but at the same time, how are we moving forward if nothing has actually physically changed? Because I haven't seen really much of change in any legislation. I haven't really seen any change in like workplaces. All I've really seen realistically is a lot of conversations.
Yeah, like lots of brands, it's like they'll start reposting the black squares. They were saying Black Lives Matter.
That was the easy way
out.
But
the real question is, how much does it matter? How many black people do you have in senior positions within your organisation, you know?
It really is the guys at the top that I'm onto. It's never the people who, like yourself, you do have a platform, of course, but you are also controlled to an extent on what you can do. So do you feel, sorry to put you on the spot, you know, do you feel now you might have the confidence to have a conversation with those who are part of your record label? What's management really doing to emphasise that Black Lives Matter and we've got these issues?
Yeah, so our label kind of helped us post Black Lives Matter charities and like ways that people can get involved. But I mean, that was when the movement was a bit
current.
more,
Got you.
So I feel like people could definitely do more.
Do you see much job roles for people that look like yourself?
No.
Period.
At least you're straight up and honest about it. Because
I walk into work and there's no black people. And that has been that way for my whole career. Like, I just haven't noticed it. Because it's my normal.
Yeah.
Hearing Aries speak got me thinking. I'm like, well, you're so right. Like, I do have the power to demand change from the people that work with me. So I feel like what I might do is maybe send like an email to everyone and see if we can kind of have a meeting and talk about how we can move forward with this and see if there's anything that we can do to make some sort of a change here.
I'm reaching out to my own management team, but I also want to see what the people right at the top of my label are doing.